Hey, good evening.
Hi,
How are you?
I'm good. How about you?
Good. You hear me okay?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, great.
Can you hear me all right?
Yeah, you're great.
Perfect.
I'm so excited to talk to you tonight. So I really appreciate you making the time because
Yeah, it's not a problem.
you really inspired the whole messaging around our "You Are Not Alone" campaign, and your family really brought that to surface. So I just think it's so powerful what you've done. And
Uh, Thank you. I really haven't done anything. It was just my little girl needed some help and I asked for help.
can you just introduce yourself briefly? And so we'll have more audience members join us. And again, this will get shared out too, so we can
Okay.
we'll have it available as we're
All
going
right. Yeah.
through.
My name is Laura. I grew up in Boise, Idaho. And I was homeschooled. My mom worked a full-time waitressing job and she also homeschooled us. There were six of us. I did get my GED. I struggled a lot with math and reading and everything, and moved out to the country, met my husband, and we have four beautiful children. I was a customer service manager for a big branch store for a while, and that kind of gave me a confidence boost.
Yeah.
It was like for a long time I struggled with, well, I can't really do anything. I'm a good house mom, I'm good at home. And then I got a job and I realized, yeah, I can do this stuff. And it's kind of helped me pass that on to my kids, to show them that you might not have confidence in yourself, but you can do it.
Yeah.
You just got to
So
try.
so true. I want to get into your daughter's story, but I want to dive into you for a minute. What was it like being homeschooled and going through school in that situation? Like, did you?
Um, Honestly, it was the only thing I knew.
Okay.
I never went to school. I was always homeschooled. So I didn't have anything to compare it to until I had kids. Um, it it was kind of lonely. It was just me and my grade. I did get a lot more one-on-one time with the teacher. It did help blossom my love of books. I love books. I love reading. Um, I wanted to be an artist, but unfortunately, I do not have the gift of art of being an artist.
I don't have
Faith,
that gift either, so I can
no.
I can empathize with you there.
There were lots of one-on-one talks with my parents. We shared a lot more than I think most kids do with their parents because we were just always around. Um, I learned everything from them, literally, and it was, now that I look back on it, it was awesome. And sometimes I wish I could do that for my kids, but other times I see the interactions that they can have, you know. So it was, like I said, nothing to compare it to, but it was kind of cool.
Yeah, it sounds like it worked out even though you didn't have that comparison, right? Like we get so hung up, I think, on credentials and GRD, GEDs and like
Yep.
having those letters behind our name, but that's not really what makes us as humans. Like,
Yeah,
and I think that's important because while I think if that's the path, if people want to go down that path, absolutely we need to create opportunities for them, but it's not the only path to being
exactly.
successful. And
Some of the smartest people in history didn't have their high school education.
that's right.
They didn't, they were smart enough as it was and they figured it out as they went along. So you
And
just got to
so
find your path.
I totally 100% agree. And so, okay, so you move out in the country, you have a family now, and then how many children do you have?
We have four. We have
Four.
four.
Okay.
Faith is the oldest, and then our youngest is four.
And just Tempo Jess just joined us. Amazing runner, PT person, just absolutely phenomenal. Everyone should give her a follow if you want to learn about PT. If you want to see some really cool IG lives, she's doing some new stuff. Check her out. She is the Tom Brady of the running world in LA, so highly recommend it. Um, Getting back to you, so four children. Faith is the oldest. how many of them are experiencing dyslexia, or is
So far, she's the only one. Um, she's really smart where it comes to math. The reading part's just getting her. We have the two boys are doing amazing. They actually help her out. They sit with her and they read, and you know, they're little brats. They're little brothers. They point things out to her and she's like, "No." But they do pretty good. So,
and is she in school? Like what year is she at right now?
she's in fourth grade.
Okay.
We've chosen not to hold her back because I feel that would be detrimental to her education.
Yeah.
She's not at the point where she needs to be held back. So
Yeah. For those that are just joining, we're with the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch. And Faith is a student. This family has really inspired the You Are Not Alone campaign that we run, and bringing people together, and these students need to understand that they're not the only ones experiencing it. It's that there is a whole community out there that we're all kind of struggling through it, and we're rooting each other on, and that's really the mission behind You Are Not Alone, is that we embrace everybody and everyone's path, and people can feel connected that way. So
yeah.
What do you think the biggest challenge is Faith is experiencing, if you're comfortable sharing that with the audience?
Her biggest challenge right now is her confidence. For a very long time, she's struggled horribly with words and getting her feelings and expressions out. Personally, I can relate to that, but it's something you have to work through and figure out how to do on your own. I mean, with help of others, but you have to figure out which path is best for you, because I can't tell you what you should do.
Right.
So, and she's 10 years old. She's really having a hard time she knows she's different. And it just kind of, it tears down her confidence every once in a while. And she's a really bright, outgoing girl, but when she starts getting frustrated with herself, she tears herself down and she can't do it. And it honestly, it breaks my heart because I don't know how to help her sometimes.
And I think it breaks all of us, our hearts, as you're talking about it. And it's the academic piece, right? That's the part that really just, I think that just, it punishes these students in a way, because they're at it for 8 hours a day doing things
Yeah.
that are just natural challenges for them, where they don't get to express how bright they are, or show what they know, or show what they're capable of, or show their strengths. You mentioned she's outgoing and she has a great personality. Are there strengths or passions that you see within her?
She she loves to draw and color and paint, and she is amazing at it. She loves to make friends. She comes home, when they were going to school full time, she would come home almost every day with a new friend. "Hey mom, I met this kid. Hey mom." She loves to help. I mean, she helps her little sister all the time without complaining. She just does it. Her brother struggles in school. Right now we're doing distance learning, and she sits next to him. So she'll get up, and when he's frustrated, and say, "Hold on," to her teacher. She said, "I'll be right back. I'm going to help my brother real quick. I'll be right back." And she just moves over and she talks to him, and she gives him confidence that he can do it. And it's amazing. I sit there and watch this and I'm like, that's my kid. This is awesome. I'm so proud.
It's so cool, because it's like, it's for someone who's sitting in her own pain and frustration and hurt, she knows how to help people and get other people out of that. And that resiliency and grit. I mean, you can't teach that. You can install it as a parent, and you can embrace it as a parent, but you can't teach it. No book's gonna be able. You're not gonna be able to pick up a book and be able to do with the skill set that she's doing right now. It's so powerful.
She's honestly, she amazes me sometimes because she doesn't even think about how she might be missing part of her lessons or anything. She just wants to help her brother. And it actually in turns it helps her learn. She sits there and she's like, wait, no, this is how we do it. And she figures it out with him. So she goes back and she takes that back to her lessons, and she's she's awe-inspiring sometimes. I love her so very much.
I think we all embrace her at the Oregon branch. I think all our student panel sees that within her, and just to hear you talk about it, like the comments are the grit and empathy. What a superpower! Awesome to hear, and just so many cheers for Faith. So please pass that along to her, because I think that is a powerful thing, and I think these students that are dyslexic, we all kind of do our own thing, and it's all a little different, right? Some of us see the worlds in pictures, right? Like I'm sure she could take her lessons and maybe not write an essay, but she could draw a picture of what she learned and describe it to you in perfect,
Yep.
like no problem. Like that's how her mind thinks. And what I think we hope that the education system will turn to is a chance to embrace that line of thinking and let people show what they know and how they how they express themselves, and it doesn't
Yep.
need to be in a traditional manner. And
Yep.
you're like the perfect representation of that.
Honestly, I just hope that someday the education system will understand that we are all different shapes, honestly. Like Faith's a star. She doesn't fit in a square. She doesn't, you know?
She wasn't born
And
to.
no. And they need to come up with a system where these different shapes who can't understand the normal way that, like the normal flow of things, that's not what they're meant to do. They need to understand that these people need to have freedom to learn how they learn. My ideas and the way I think doesn't make sense to my husband, but the way I think and the way I do things doesn't make sense to my daughter, Faith, either. We just all have to figure out how we work in this world, and we're not all squares.
No, and I think to that point, and then embrace that, right? That's the opportunity, how we all think differently, and like that's why we're going to have cool pictures, and that's why we're going to have great audio, and that's why we're going to have essays and books and all the things. Like all of it is needed. Like to your point, it's like, but we can all get there in different ways. And
Exactly.
um, our president of the International Dyslexia Association Oregon branch, Danielle Thompson, she just wrote, "I hope so. We are working on improving the system," and I think it's a constant work. And credit to the Oregon branch, because they're all volunteer members and they're all trying to pave that way for the students of the future. And your daughter Faith, who's in it now. What as a parent, what would you like educators to know? Like if you had a message to those educators, like what would that be?
I appreciate you. I appreciate the struggles you have to go through, and I appreciate, as a mom, the people that do try and help. Just remember that the kids are scared of speaking up for themselves sometimes. And if you see them struggling, help them. See what you can do to help them. Reach out to their parents. The biggest thing for me has been the school here. It's amazing. Her teacher has had her 2 years in a row, has helped her more than her last 3 years in school, because she will reach out, she will work with her, and it's appreciated. I love this teacher. Like, if I could bring her in and have her be part of my family, she embraces my daughter. She embraces all of her kids. And that's what I want you to remember. These kids are trusted to you. We trust you to teach our children and love them, and that's all we want. If you need help, we're here.
So powerful. Yeah. Jane wrote, yeah, yay for teachers, and that's totally right. She also talks about the book Normal Isn't Real, and describes yourself and for your daughter is you know just a absolute, yeah, it's definitely a way to something that people should watch. Normal isn't real. uh you talked about the self advocacy piece, and it sounds like your daughter is like doing that for other people. It when it comes to herself, is it that the challenge? Is it like, or is she
It's
learning to
not as
do?
easy. It's not as easy for her to speak up for herself, but she's learning.
Yeah,
Um, she did last year when they were in school. She was advocating for herself. Her teacher, there's 23 kids in a class.
totally.
When it was time for her to go to her special ed classes, she'd be like, "Hey, I got 5 minutes. Can I go now? Hey, I need help with this. This year has been really rough, like it has been on everybody. She has a little bit harder time speaking up, but when she does, it's very loud, it's very clear. She says exactly what she needs help with, and she listens. So I think it's just a matter of her getting used to people listening to her when she speaks up. Sometimes she needs to shout.
Yeah, and I imagine, like, I was going to ask you about that, like virtual learning versus being in the classroom. Has she found it sounds like being there is easier on her than,
It is. Like I said, she's a very social person. She's a
yeah.
very on learner. One hand, her spelling has improved. She went from her spelling list was 15 letters. She went from being able to spell 7 to 14 of them in the last couple months. Yeah. So it's improved in that aspect. Other aspects, it's been pretty detrimental to her schooling. As much as we've tried, the teachers worked with me. I've tried my hardest. We get into a lot of arguments about what's right, who's right, but moms, daughters.
I think it's always a challenge,
Yeah.
but it is, especially for someone who's social. I could definitely see like being in the classroom could be a better environment for her from a learning and social emotional perspective. But what I would say to you is reach out to us. Like, don't be afraid to connect with the Oregon branch, our student panel. If we need to get the group together, I know Shelby does an amazing job of that and organizing that. And Mac was on the line. I don't know if he's still on there right now, but just doing a good job of keeping building that community, especially during this challenging time that we're all facing. So know that you have a family here in Oregon that cares too. So
I do appreciate that. Earlier today, she actually was on a Zoom meeting with a bunch of the girls in the organization. They all got a hold of her and talked to her for a while, and she perked right up. She was so happy and bubbly, and I don't know what they talked about, but it's all good. They all know what's going on with each other, and I'm happy about that. It's amazing she has other people she can talk to.
absolutely. Um, as we kind of are wrapping up, I always want to leave the guest with the last word and like what your message would be to the world, to communities, whether it be educators or parents or the students out there. Like what is your message as a someone who's experienced dyslexia, daughter is dyslexic, the challenges of it all? Like what would you like people to know?
It's easy to give up, but don't. It's worth it to fight for it. It's worth it to learn how to read. It's worth it to learn how to do your math. It's worth it so you can teach your children that this life is hard, but if you fight for what you want, you can be amazing. You can do amazing things. And I honestly believe that my children, if they fight for it, if they work for it, they can do amazing things. But they have to want that amazingness. So just don't give up.
Oh, I don't, there's no other way to end that than what you just said. I think it's so powerful. I just thank you so much for all your work as going through it yourself and as a parent and what you're great teaching the community. Like it's just, we're very grateful for you and your family. I hope you know that.
Thank you. And I am super grateful for you guys. You guys reached out to me when it was a really rough time, and I appreciate it. I'm glad that I'm not alone.
Yeah, not at all. Thank you so much for your time on a Sunday evening, and we wish you the best finishing out this, before the holidays and all that stuff. So just wish you all the
Thank you.
best.
You too.
Have a great night.
Bye.
Bye.